Hey everybody, emergency pod number 2. RJ, David, Jose Tabata, myself. We just wrapped up, literally seconds ago, episode 45. We cannot wait to get that to you later on in the week. But right now, just a day after, and I'm saying a day after because I want to put this out immediately and force myself to get this out to you guys. Bobby Lashley is WWE Champion. Something that maybe if you look back to in his early days in WWE, is somewhat overdue, but yes, he is now. He is a WWE champion after defeating The Miz, who cashed in just a couple of weeks ago at Elimination Chamber, which, we recorded that emergency pod just after Elimination Chamber. We were all just laughing and figuring out what the heck was going on and what's going to happen now. We've reached our conclusion. Miz was a 2-week champ after all that. I have my thoughts on what I'm going to say, what led up to Bobby Lashley, because I am in a bit of a rant here. So RJ, I'm going to start with you before I rant. RJ?
All right. First of all, I'm happy that Bobby Lashley is the champion. I think I'm happy that Bobby Lashley is the champion. Throughout the show, I was, gradually thinking, I'm like, you know what? This is the night that Bobby's becoming the champ. This is what I want. And then Miz gets the stomach cramps, and it's like, oh, are they really going to keep pushing this off and pushing this off and pushing this off? Or he's got the stomach bug or whatever the heck he has. And then, they push it off to 10 o'clock. And then, they have the match, and then Miz bolts out of the arena, which I thought was hilarious, actually, personally. When he goes and grabs his title belt and then just bolts out of the arena away from it, I thought that was really funny. And then finally, in the last 10 minutes, they decide, okay, we're going to strip the Miz if he doesn't show up. And then, the Lumberjacks come out, and it's like, okay, the squash is happening. Lashley's about to, leave the title. There was a little inch of doubt in my mind when they kept showing Braun from that one angle where I'm like, oh, this guy's about to fuck it up. But he did not, and Lashley gets probably the squashiest WWE title match I've seen in like a really long time. Obviously, there was, the Kofi one, but that was just one move where he got caught and it ended. This was like Miz got no offense. He tried to hit him with the belt. Lashley said, no, throws him to the side, and then it's like, I'm just way better than you. Why are you the champion? I'm going to be the champion. And then he squashes him. I actually enjoyed Raw last night. There was a lot of filler in between, but I actually think the way that they carried the story on, it kind of baited me a little bit. It's like, oh man, they're really just going to keep pushing this off. And then there was the big, moment at the end where Lashley wins his first title. And it's like, you know what? I got worked a little bit throughout the show, and now I'm here, and I'm happy that Lashley's the champion. So I actually thought Raw was totally solid with a really good ending last night.
David, your reaction to Bobby Lashley becoming champ?
I mean, when they brought Bobby Lashley back, for the longest time I felt like one of those nostalgia, old, bringing back an old name just to have him kind of do something. And I was wondering, are they going to do more with him? When are they eventually going to do more with him? And how are they going to do it? I like the progression because they were doing it in a way that all the competition for the U.S. title was just too easy for him. He needed a bump up. I thought maybe they were going to try to do the Keith Lee thing, but clearly Keith Lee gets hurt, and they had to redo that. They had to kind of change things up there. So I did like how it happened too. Like, he's been squashing guys the entire time. It was most likely going to be a squash to win the title. Like when he did to Braun Strowman, I'm like, ew, this is someone they're really trying to push now. And as somebody who's been watching WWE for the longest time, and I was a Lashley fan when he was having his feud with Umaga, the Vince versus Donald Trump sort of deal, like that stuff got, it was good to see Lashley kind of get his moment, because it just felt like he wasn't getting it for the longest time. MVP, I know you, Jose, and I had a difference of opinion on this. I think it's good that MVP is with him on this, because when he came back, he was just not good on the mic.
That's where our opinions differ. Okay, yeah.
he needed someone to get him over in that way. So having MVP there, the Hurt Business stuff, like that stuff really plays off well for him. He doesn't have to do the talking. He's letting his wrestling do the talking. Physically, I don't know if there's a guy that's doing what Lashley is doing in WWE. Like, it's impressive. I wouldn't mind seeing a championship versus champion with like Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley. I think that would be an incredible match. physically to see those two go at it. I'm really curious to see how WWE now pushes. It's most likely Drew, because Drew obviously didn't lose the title in the way that you want to see him lose. So I'm curious to see how they work that storyline now for the next, 40 days? Sorry, 39 days.
39.
Thank you.
39.
Yeah.
Thank you. Your countdown is below me in the bottom left, folks. 39. As you were.
I don't have one right now. So yeah, no, that's my thought on it.
And to add on to what you said about MVP too, who would have thought when he returned at the Royal Rumble last year he'd be making this much of an impact at all, let alone on Bobby Lashley? Like, I thought it was a one-off. I was surprised to even see him on Raw the next day. And now he may as well be the WWE Champion. Like, he's the mouthpiece for the WWE Champion, who would never be the WWE Champion if MVP did not come back.
Right. That's a big one.
And that's not really anything against Lashley, but he's obviously not a talker. He's got everything else, and he can be intimidating in short words on the mic, like he did with the Miz last week on Raw. But he's not going to be cutting these promos that MVP's doing. And MVP and the Hurt Business have brought like prestige to Bobby Lashley. Like, this is a guy that you can see running, as your WWE champion now, and it feels like ever since Lashley came back and until MVP got there, he was starting to become very forgettable. He had all these terrible feuds with these guys like Sami Zayn and, Rusev.
About that,
and then all of a sudden, MVP changes this man's life, basically. And now we have Bobby Lashley as a WWE champion, which I actually never thought we would actually see, and I'm happy for him. So the Hurt Business has been one of my favorite things on Raw, so I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, I mean, first of all it took was a divorce. So,
Yeah.
Oh God,
yeah,
I totally forgot about that stuff.
Now, here's why I'm going to rant today, because I mean, look, I'm very happy for the guy. I'm extremely happy. Like RJ said, I love the Hurt Business when it was formed. MVP as a mouthpiece has been incredible. It's been so good. And I mean, again, like you said to me, like, who would have thought that like what originally we thought was going to be a Rumble surprise at the 2020 Rumble, all of a sudden just turned into all this. It's been incredible. That's that thing. But what I want to rant about, and I was in a bit of a somewhat of a little argument with my group chat. There were a lot of people on social media frustrated at how this dragged out. 9:00 is going to be the WWE title match, and then the cramps. Okay, now we have to wait till 10:00. When the 10:00 thing didn't happen, a lot of people were saying that, oh my goodness, what is the point of this? There's no payout. There's no fallout to this. It's all a waste, and all credibility is lost. The Miz is going to be still going to be champion. This is embarrassing. Raw is just going to be trash. And I'm just like, this is what a heel does.
Yeah,
we have seen heels in the past run away. If anything, I know people in my group chat were frustrated. And again, and if you guys are listening to this, it's not against you guys. This is just like my opinion. I respect your opinions. I like this. That's how arguments work. Like people's opinions clash. Nothing against you guys. Just want to make that very clear, just in case. But I laughed so hard when the Miz ran out of the ring, grabbed his title, and sprinted to the back.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious.
Because in kayfabe rules, count out or disqualification does not change the titles. If I was a heel, I was telling this in my group, if I was a heel, of course that's what I would do. And I'm amazed that in all the years I've been watching WWE, I don't see that very often. I think that was the first time I've seen a heel grab their title and run and get themselves counted out. It's really, really rare. And I appreciated that because it makes sense. And Miz was always that coward heel. He always was. There was no hiding from that. That's just who the Miz is. And again, I felt like some with the reaction from social media, I did feel like some of it was just because they were just still so angry at how it all felt, how the Rumble fell out. A lot of people were just hating on the Miz, just hating the Money in the Bank situation, just hating that he was champion. Oh, I have no interest now going into WrestleMania. I'm done with this and all that jazz. I'm like, whoa, guys. I mean, like, they're just. This is the thing about WWE and about any wrestling thing or any TV show, right? You just gotta see what happens. If that is what we get at WrestleMania, then okay, fine, that's what we get, right? But I'm just amazed at how quickly people gave up on this fast. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, this is obviously not going to be what we're going to see at WrestleMania. This is not going to be the end result. There's going to be something that happens. And with Lashley in the picture, I'm like, it's going to happen soon. I don't know when, but it's going to happen soon. And it did. It did just 2 weeks later. And even in that final hour of Raw last night, had a lot of people on social media going, "Oh my goodness, I'm done with this. It's over. The Miz is going to retain." And I was saying again, I was telling my group chat, I'm like, guys, we're gonna get the big payoff. You don't do this 2 times in the night and for the third time's the charm, as they say. You didn't do all this for a big reward, a big proper finish, and everybody was happy at the end of the day. But I'm just amazed at how quickly people gave up. Again, like I said, I think it's just because of how frustrated, the little bias that people were with the Miz becoming WWE champion. I was okay with it. I've seen worse things in WWE than the Miz becoming champion, like Riddle. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I mean, in all seriousness, like I've seen worse things than the Miz becoming WWE champion. I mean, technically, it should have happened 4 years ago with that whole thing with Daniel Bryan. It didn't. It was what it was. But I just didn't think it was the end of the world with the Miz as champion. In fact, I would have been 100% okay if he ended up going to WrestleMania as WWE champion. I'm like, would
you rather see Otis be the champion?
Exactly. That was the other thing too, and that was like my other, the one thing I was gonna. I know I'm ranting here, fellas. I know I'm going long here, but that was the other thing too. And thank you, David, for bringing that up. This Money in the Bank was then on arrival. It had to be used in some shape or form, and there was no way you're going to allow essentially another failed cash in or back-to-back failures in terms of Otis to Miz. You had to do something with it, and you're now set up again for Drew to have his big WrestleMania moment that he was supposed to have last year. In Tampa, assuming that he's going to be facing Lashley, which I hope, because that sounds very intriguing, and the contract was about to expire, so it had to be used in some shape or form. And frankly, I'm happy it's out of the way. I'm happy I'm happy that there's still enough time between now and WrestleMania, pretending that Fastlane doesn't exist, and that we can still get some sort of build up to it. Again, it was just to get the Money in the Bank out of the way. There's no doubt about it, and I'm happy that it did. It's over. We can all move on. We can now praise Champion Lashley and continue forward. Any final thoughts? I know I went long, fellas, but any final thoughts, RJ?
Where do they go from here, though? Like, is it Fastlane? Does Miz get a rematch and then out of the picture? Miz going to maybe be in? Is it going to be a triple threat maybe at WrestleMania? I really don't know, and I think that's a good thing. There is something that's going to happen here, but you have to watch the show to find out. And I know that Raw's been really crappy lately, but what happened this past week, it's like, oh, okay, well, they're advancing the story. Like, now I kind of have to tune into Raw and watch it.
Yeah, like, you can't predict what's going to happen. You're not easily able to predict where they're going. We kind of knew where they're going with the Miz winning and Lashley having a part in it. We're like, okay, they're going to give the title to Lashley. Now it's just like there's suspense. There is genuine. I don't know what's going to happen next now.
I mean, it's a good thing. As I said, 39 days away until WrestleMania, so we'll see what happens. But for now, we're just going to put a bow on it here, because again, that's just what these emergency pods. And we hope to be doing this a little bit more frequently, because we're really liking just a quick reaction as opposed to a full episode and waiting later on in the week for the release. So RJ and David, thank you. That is all from me. That's all from us. Good night, and we'll see you guys on Friday for the release of episode 45.